frankly assure you, that if you do not desire to banish me from wherever you are, you will adopt a very different style and conduct in future." I then rose, and was going; but he flung himself at my feet to prevent me, exclaiming, in a most passionate manner, "Good God! Miss Anville, what do you say? Can it be possible, that so unmoved, that with such petrifying indifference, you can tear from me even the remotest hope?" "I know not, Sir," said I, endeavouring to disengage myself from him, "what hope you mean, but I am sure that I never intended to give you any." "You distract me," cried he; "I cannot endure such scorn. I beseech you to have some moderation in your cruelty, lest you make me desperate. Say, then, that you pity me. Oh, fairest inexorable, loveliest tyrant! Say, tell me, at least, that you pity me." Just then, who should come in sight, as if intending to pass by the arbour, but Lord Orville! Good Heaven, how did I start! And he, the moment he saw me, turned pale, and was hastily retiring; but I called out, "Lord Orville! Sir Clement, release me! Let go my hand!" Sir Clement, in some confusion, suddenly rose, but still grasped my hand. Lord Orville, who had turned back, was again walking away; but, still struggling to disengage myself, I called out, "Pray, pray, my Lord, don't go! Sir Clement, I insist upon your releasing me." Lord Orville then, hastily approaching us, said with great spirit, "Sir Clement, you cannot wish to detain Miss Anville by force?" "Neither, my Lord," cried Sir Clement proudly, "do I request the honour of your Lordship's interference." However, he let go my hand, and I immediately ran into the house. I was now frightened to death, lest Sir Clement's mortified pride should provoke him to affront Lord Orville. I therefore hastily ran to Mrs. Selwyn, and entreated her, in a manner hardly to be understood, to walk towards the arbour. She asked no questions, for she is quick as lightning in taking a hint, but instantly hastened into the garden. Imagine, my dear Sir, how wretched I must be till I saw her return. Scarce could I restrain myself from running back. However, I checked my impatience, and waited, though in agonies, till she came. And now, my dear Sir, I have a conversation to write, the most interesting to me that I ever heard. The comments and questions with which Mrs. Selwyn interrupted her account I shall not mention, for they are as such as you may very easily suppose. Lord Orville and Sir Clement were both seated very quietly in the arbour; and Mrs. Selwyn, standing still as soon as she was within a few yards of them, heard Sir Clement say, "Your question, my Lord, alarms me, and I can by no means answer it, unless you will allow me to propose another." "Undoubtedly, Sir." "You ask me, my Lord, what are my intentions? I should be very happy to be satisfied as to your Lordship's." "I have never, Sir, professed any." Here they were both for a few moments silent, and then Sir Clement said, "To what, my Lord, must I then impute your desire of knowing mine?" "To an unaffected interest in Miss Anville's welfare." "Such an interest," said Sir Clement, drily, "is indeed very generous; but except in a father, a brother, or a lover—" "Sir Clement," interrupted his Lordship, "I know your inference, and I acknowledge I have not the right of enquiry which any of these three titles bestow; and yet I confess the warmest wishes to serve her and to see her happy. Will you then excuse me if I take the liberty to repeat my question?" "Yes, if your Lordship will excuse my repeating that I think it a rather extraordinary one." "It may be so," said Lord Orville, "but this young lady seems to be peculiarly situated. She is very young, very inexperienced, yet appears to be left totally to her own direction. She does not, I believe, see the dangers to which she is exposed, and I will own to you I feel a strong desire to point them out." "I don't rightly understand your Lordship, but I think you cannot mean to prejudice her against me." "Her sentiments of you, Sir, are as much unknown to me as your intentions towards her. Perhaps, were I acquainted with either, my officiousness might be at an end, but I presume not to ask upon what terms." Here he stopped, and Sir Clement said, "You know, my Lord, I am not given to despair. I am by no means such a puppy as to tell you I am upon sure ground. However, perseverance—" "You are, then, determined to persever?" "I am, my Lord." Pardon me then, Sir Clement, if I speak to you with freedom. This young lady, though she seems alone, and in some measure unprotected, is not entirely without friends. She has been extremely well educated, and accustomed to good company. She has a natural love of virtue, and a mind that might adorn any station, however exalted. Is such a young lady, Sir Clement, a proper object to trifle with? For your principles, excuse me, Sir, are well known. As to that, my Lord, let Miss Anville look to herself. She has an excellent understanding, and needs no counsellor. Her understanding is indeed excellent, but she is too young for suspicion, and has an artlessness of disposition I never saw equalled. My Lord, cried Sir Clement warmly, your praises make me doubt your disinterestedness, and there exists not the man whom I would so unwillingly have for a rival as yourself. But you must give me leave to say, you have greatly deceived me in regard to this affair. How so, Sir? cried Lord Orville with equal warmth. You were pleased, my Lord, answered Sir Clement, upon our first conversation concerning this young lady, to speak to her in terms by no means suited to your present encomiums. You said she was a poor, weak, ignorant girl, and I had great reason to believe you had a most contemptuous opinion of her. It is very true, said Lord Orville, that I did not at our first acquaintance do justice to the merits of Miss Anville, but I knew not then how new she was to the world. At present, however, I am convinced that whatever might appear strange in her behaviour was simply the effect of inexperience, timidity, and a retired education, for I find her informed, sensible, and intelligent. She is not, indeed, like most modern young ladies, to be known in half an hour. Her modest worth and fearful excellence require both time and encouragement to show themselves. She does not, beautiful as she is, seize the soul by surprise, but with more dangerous fascination she steals it almost imperceptibly. Enough, my Lord, cried Sir Clement. Your solicitude for her welfare is now sufficiently explained. My friendship and esteem, returned Lord Orville, I do not wish to disguise; but assure yourself, Sir Clement, I should not have troubled you upon this subject, had Miss Anville and I ever conversed but as friends. However, since you do not choose to avow your intentions, we must drop the subject. My intentions, cried he, I will frankly own, are hardly known to myself. I think Miss Anville the loveliest of her sex, and were I a marrying man, she, of all the women I have seen, I would fix upon for a wife. But I believe that not even the philosophy of your lordship would recommend me to a connection of that sort, with a girl of obscure birth, whose only dowry is her beauty, and who is evidently in a state of dependency. Sir Clement, cried Lord Orville with some heat, we will discuss this point no further. We are both free agents, and must act for ourselves. Here Mrs. Selwyn, fearing a surprise, and finding my apprehensions of danger were groundless, retired hastily into another walk, and soon after came to give me this account. Good Heaven, what a man is this Sir Clement! So designing, though so easy; so deliberately artful, though so flighty! Greatly, however, is he mistaken, all confident as he seems; for the girl, obscure, poor, dependent as she is, far from wishing the honour of his alliance, would not only now, but always have rejected it. As to Lord Orville, but I will not trust my pen to mention him. Tell me, my dear Sir, what do you think of him? Tell me if he is not the noblest of men, and if you can either wonder at or blame my admiration. The idea of being seen immediately by either party after so singular a conversation was both awkward and distressing to me; but I was obliged to appear at dinner. Sir Clement, I saw, was absent and uneasy. He watched me, he watched Lord Orville, and was evidently disturbed in his mind. Whenever he spoke to me, I turned from him with undisguised disdain, for I am too much irritated against him to bear with his ill-meant assiduities any longer. But not once, not a moment, did I dare meet the eyes of Lord Orville. All consciousness myself, I dreaded his penetration, and directed my eyes every way but towards his. The rest of the day I never quitted Mrs. Selwyn. Adieu, my dear Sir. To-morrow I expect your directions, whether I am to return to Berry Hill, or once more to visit London. End of Letter 75.